Chapter 19, Last Catapult Standing. Third Arc, Ottawa. Last Catapult Standing. Bloated yellow-green bodies filled a room of alcoholic odor. Monitors mounted to the walls displayed professional men speaking silently above scrolling lines of text. Sounds droned in meaningless mixture, pulsating like an auditory hallucination, something experienced solely inside one's mind, violent and jutting and undeniable. Outside, snow began to stick on lantern-lighted sidewalks, but here a physical humidity made all motion sluggish and little space allowed for movement anyway. The room writhed, it seethed, it seemed itself alive, breathing, despite its airs turgidity. A prim hostess in a ruffled blouse extended her torso over the edge of a podium. Her wide-smiled mouth opened but no sound came out. Murray cupped a hand around her ear.
WHAAT. Seating for how many, miss? My friend's already here.
The hostess closed her mouth, the smile remained, and a gracious gesture permitted Murray entry into the restaurant. The yellow-green bodies waited between the rows of tables and chairs at high counters, every person crammed inside seemed to know everyone else, they carried platters of burgers and fries with them to carouse with some other party. Children crawled between feet, running toy cars across the wood. Glasses clinked, hands clapped, every so often a shriek of laughter cut the auditory slurry. Waitresses swayed, stacks of grimy grilled meats en route to insatiable diners. A man's back bounced against Murray, drilled her into a table that lurched an inch sideways but knocked over none of the frothing steins atop it. The man put his hands on her shoulders, shook her, mouthed apologies. He wore a wedge of cheese for a hat and a jersey numbered 12. After a few friendly jostles and a thumbs up, he turned back to his friends at the bar counter. That female creature of infinity names slouched over a two-person booth in the corner. Had to wonder if she took the two-person in anticipation of Murray or whether it were the only thing open, parties tending to be far larger than pairs here. Murray plopped into the open seat, facing her, only a mug of cocoa and a bowl of chili nachos between them. "You even have money?" said Murray. Clown Muffle nodded. "How?" said Murray. "The Empire confiscated mine. The old man who drove me here." She withdrew a chip from the nachos bowl, swirled it in some repulsive cheese sauce, and took a tentative, exploratory nibble. Murray considered the chips. Her stomach had developed a consistent ache for the past 6 hours. "Did you beg or did you pickpocket?" Upon receiving no answer, Murray decided she had enough reasonable doubt to eat. She scooped a handful of chips, forwent the cheese dip, the nachos already had cheese on them anyway, and shoved them into her mouth. "If you had just stolen. If you had just stolen it wouldn't have mattered, do you know that? You could have stolen as easily as you killed. So why did you have to kill? If you stole, I could have said, you had no options. You were a product of the system. You and I know what it's like. I got 2 cousins, they push weed, coke, all that shit. Got another cousin arrested for mugging, he had a fake gun. It's crime, it's bad, but what else is gonna fucking happen? You put all the fucking Mexicans in the same shitty neighborhood where there's no jobs and the schools suck, so nobody learns shit to bring themselves up in the world, where the cops look at you like you're a criminal before you're even a criminal. I mean, if they treat you like one anyway, might as well fucking be one. Cuba's shit's the same shit. Take away someone's opportunity, treat them like dirt, they become dirt. We're a race of fucking dirt, that's what it means to be brown, and the only difference with Cuba is he makes the white girls dirt too. The entire time, Clown Muffle had given up trying to bite. She instead sucked off all the chili and cheese sauce and then crushed in her hand the soggy chip that remained and funneled the crumbs into her mouth. Murray glanced down from her weird telepathic speech, in which she felt her face make all kinds of expressions even if her lips didn't move, and noticed a tooth half bundled in Clown Muffle's napkin. And the fucking thing is, they want criminals. Both of them. Cuba, the United States government, same shit. They want us to become inhuman, they want us to become culturally, morally, ethically sick. Because sick people don't fight back. They're fighting their own damn body too much to fight back. And then it becomes a cycle. Because we're now so culturally, morally, ethically sick, they can justify putting in more police, putting more of us in jail, violating what liberties we have left. Ronald fucking Reagan goes up and announces a war on drugs, a war on the citizens of his own fucking country. A waitress dropped a menu on the table in front of her.
Sorry for the wait. You can see we're a little busy tonight. Can I get you started with a drink? And you ma'am, would you like more cocoa?
Clown Muffle and Murray cranked heads toward her notch by notch. Their eyes shifted to one another and back to the waitress.
Water,
said Murray. Clown Muffle signaled that her current cocoa dose was enough.
Now why do you two look so down?
Said the waitress.
Don't tell me you're from Chicago now, are you?
Murray was taken aback enough to automatically say, "How'd you know?" The waitress stifled a laugh loud enough to be heard over the restaurant's ruckus. She pointed to a monitor suspended over Clown Muffle's head. The same suited men were talking, but Murray could now read the scrolling text under them. Last-minute TD propels Packers to 33-28 victory at Chicago, third consecutive NFC North championship.
Don't worry though, said the waitress, we'll even serve Bears fans in Green Bay. I'll be right back with your water, you just take a look at that menu there.
She zigzagged away and left Murray wondering at the fact that there had been a football, it was football, right, game in Chicago today, the same day a biblical monster crawled out of Lake Michigan and nearly laid waste to the whole city. It interrupted whatever train of thought Murray had taken in her rant to Clown Muffle. She forgot exactly where she was going with Ronald Reagan. She had intended to liken Cuba's specialists to the militarized police in the 1980s, now it seemed out of grasp. A lot of people died in Chicago this morning. Murray had tried to save everyone she could, she didn't want to linger on it. She at least knew, via her radar, that the reinforcements had come, but if she had stayed with the rest of them instead of chasing after Clown Muffle. It had to be murder. You went too far, Clown Muffle. You crossed a line and you didn't care. The situation pushed you in a dark direction, but you delved even deeper than you needed. You became the bogeyman Cuba wanted, someone to scare the other dirt girls, and thanks to Magnet you could spread your fear national. Clown Muffle brought her cocoa mug from her lower lip. I'm popular on Magnet. I've got bad news for you, sunshine. There's a post on the general board every fucking day, some newbie bitching about you, and the same flame war sparks every time, and all your skeletons get dragged out to broad daylight. Everyone knows you're a thug. The only people who support you are thugs too, or they want to be. You're their rock star. Their rap artist. The poster child for their lifestyle, or the lifestyle they wish was theirs, because we're a culturally, morally, ethically sick race of dirt girls, and the only thing we want is power, security, longevity, cute fucking clothes, everything you have at whatever cost you paid to get it. She sighed, leaned back into her cushioned seat. And Denver had stood up like a beacon, the anti-clown muffle, the dirt girl who despite her disadvantages built an honest empire and promoted peace, well-being, and trust among the clods she endeavored to raise up. Her and her Cotter, Seattle, Minneapolis, Calgary, a few others. But they were all just thugs too, in the end, weren't they? Cube propped them up like he propped Clown Muffle, two sides of the same coin, and Murray and Hemet failed to see it. If they had, would they have attempted a different strategy? Would everything have turned out different? And the Empire? Chicago? Were they the same? Because for a moment Murray let herself believe, even if she disagreed with a few, or most, of their particulars, that they were doing the necessary thing. Sifting the dirt for enough clay to heat into bricks and build a house. The kind of organization they needed, the kind of culture and morals and ethics they needed. It had been so easy to slip into their pattern of life, even though Murray had always considered herself a temporary member capable of skipping town whenever she needed. So easy to speak like them, act like them, be one of them. But at the apex, that unseen empress, was she just another prop too? The waitress returned. Murray glanced at the menu for the first time and picked the first thing she noticed, a cheddar bacon cheeseburger with cheese-covered steak fries. When the waitress asked if there would be anything else with the order, Murray thought a moment, considered the fact that Clown Muffle was paying, and ordered a chocolate milkshake despite the cold. "That's why we came for you first," said Murray after the waitress left. "We couldn't kill Cube. But if we broke down his symbol, created a stir, we imagined others would hear our message and join. Then we would have taken on his secret police, the specialists." Steph's plan. She trusted Denver, she believed Magnet was an alternative to Clown Muffle even if she criticized its efficacy. And while Murray, dirt poor brown girl herself, had known back then on a hazy, half-intuitive level much of what she now spoke about social injustice, it had been Steph, far more educated, from a rich Vietnamese family, who connected the dots for her, edified her. Throughout the conversation Clown Muffle's head lolled and occasional drops of blood plinked from the hood of the oversized jacket she must have filched somewhere during their flight from Chicago and later Milwaukee. Whether the information registered with her, whether she even bothered to listen, Murray could not tell. But she felt she needed to speak. Nobody had ever wanted to listen, and anyone else she tried to tell, Denver, Hedgewish during their initial interview, Lieutenant Bolingbroke, quickly told her to shut up. Clown Muffle at least let her speak, and something uncorked inside her, the words welled out. She had envisioned this meeting going more to the point, with fewer digressions. She tried to remember the main terms she wanted to cover, remembered the next, lifted her head to transmit it, only for Clown Muffle to cut her off. "You're passionate. Keep that quality. It's appealing. That's all you have to say. You already said that. The night you killed Steph." Clown Muffle thought. Yes, no. No what? Maybe, maybe we are dirt. Her head lowered. She reached into her hoodie and drew out a small piece of paper, which she unfolded diligently. It read one word, Gatineau. What did you say? Culturally, ethically, morally. Bankrupt. Then she shook her head. No. That's wrong. No. Magical girls are the opposite of that. They fight for justice, they fight with the beautiful manifestation of their souls, magic. The way they look, the weapons they use, everything is meaningful, even a little bend on a witch hat. I can't accept. Superficial. Superficial, it's superficial, it's a bullshit line Cube fed you, fed us all, just like all those rich white CEOs fed us as 5-year-olds with their pretty princess TV shows. It's drivel. Hope and the power of friendship, those are just pretty words to say. It's the snare they snatch us with. Sell us a dream, it's the shine on the chrome wheels, the diamonds on the neck. Sell us a dream, spring a mousetrap. For a long time Clown Muffle only stared at the bunched napkin with the tooth in it and a few stray spots of blood. Her body shook, almost imperceptibly, but the energy transferred into the table and Murray's elbows propped against it. The whole building shook, the yellow-green bodies rocked its foundation. On the monitor above Clown Muffle, a yellow-green body in suspended animation released an oblong brown ball across a field. Crude arrows were drawn on the screen, denoting its arc and trajectory. A timer reads 0:39. Literally last minute. Obviously Murray had met Clown Muffle in a moment of weakness. She knew it was only her situation that even made her listen. But she was listening. Maybe the situation was necessary. Someone like Clown Muffle, someone so secure in her life and philosophy, so oblivious to the suffering of others because she herself never suffered, maybe it took that. A fracture, to reform better. Steph said that too. She said that when people lift weights, they actually create thousands of microscopic tears in the muscles that heal stronger. That's how people gain strength. She applied the same concept to society, there need to be tears in order for the culture to grow. The waitress placed a burger in front of Murray. It not only had melted cheddar inside, but half-melted strips atop the bun. It was fucking delicious. Said Clown Muffle finally, coming out of her deep gaze, I never wanted to kill her. I hate thinking about it. I wish I never did it. Yeah. Murray's goodwill plummeted. Yeah, sorry doesn't mean shit on that count. She's dead, and whatever else I forgive you for, I can't ever fucking forgive you that. And it's so fucking typical, isn't it? That she would be the only thing you regret. Because that's the only moral code Cube programmed into us, not to kill one another, because ultimately that hurts his bottom line. So that's all that matters to you, and I can't even get mad about it because sometimes it feels like the only thing that matters to me, too. But I try to tell myself it's different, Steph was my friend, the connection was personal. Yet here I am, willing to forgive you for the other things you did, even though you murdered however many regular people. Fuck. I don't know. I stopped knowing too, said Clown Muffle. Murray took rapid bites from her burger. It was so large she had to slice it in half with a steak knife provided upon her plate. She slurped her milkshake, sweet and chocolatey, even though it iced her throbbing veins, or maybe because it did. If she allowed herself too much space to breathe, she remembered all she had seen in the morning. All the people who died, despite all she did to help them. As she chased Clown Muffle, she felt their lights go out. Pop, pop, pop. Should she have stayed? Would it have mattered? She could ferry a willing soul away from danger, but for those determined to rush to their martyrdom she possessed far less power. If she had stayed a few minutes longer, she would have been there when the 20 girls who had to be Cicero's platoon blipped onto her radar. Maybe that information would have altered their suicidal course, maybe only calcified it. The real girls had been deceived. Lieutenant Bolingbroke had arrived. It was the specialist puppeteering her. Murray attempted to mutter something to that effect, but the others shut her down. Only Hedgewish had an idea, but the slow flight from Chicago to Green Bay had already allowed her plenty time to roll this scene back and forth along her bitter-tasting tongue. The matter now was Clown Muffle. Obviously Murray had to consider that nothing had truly changed in their situation. Clown Muffle still had to die for both the original reason and the added spur of Hemmett's avenging. All logical points drew to this conclusion. One could not consider Clown Muffle reformed, certainly not after this lukewarm conversation. Leprous, sure, but not reformed. And besides, it had never been about reformation. Clown Muffle was a symbol, and since Cubey himself would never die, she could only strike his symbols. That's what Steph said, we must adopt a new mindset. Thinking in terms of people, that would never work. They had to sift the dirt for the clay and the rocks and other things that could be fashioned into tools, like what the Empire was doing, but with a constant memory of the dirt we came from. We must sift the dirt to fight for the dirt. Clown Muffle had forfeited her right to humanity. And these were lofty aims Murray strove for. A pacifist fucking kumbaya was bunk, only shitty movies sold that lie, and it was a lie Cubey loved to see sold because he knew no peaceful organization would accomplish jack dick. The cancer had to be excised. She shoved the last bite of her burger into her mouth. Lofty goals, lofty thoughts. It was this core philosophy the Empire did right, and Murray could learn from them, improve on the design. Eschew the bullcrap theocracy, the belief in some fake god of hope, scrap the ridiculous list of regressive prohibitions, abandon the useless corporal punishment, and you had an idea somewhere in there that would do great things. Lofty thoughts. Lofty actions. Clown Muffle had to die. Her leprosy would not defend her. Pathos would not stir Murray's heart. She stood. The timing indicated Clown Muffle had specifically waited the entire elongated pause for Murray to do or say anything so she could cut her off, but the liquid casualness with which she spoke threw it into doubt. She said, "Let's hunt some wraiths." Murray blinked. Magical girls need energy, no? Town's big enough for a snack. Help a few villagers in the process. Fucking wraiths. After this morning, Murray wanted fuck to do with them, but the question surprised her and she had to consider the pragmatic side of things. Fine. Fine. She said. Clown Muffle pointed to her milkshake. Intend to finish? Green Bay, another lakeside town, cold as hell, the Rung traders went to, had at least a lot of lights and a lot of drunken merriment from downtown storefronts. The town heroes won their football game against their bitter rival, Chicago. All was well in the world. Murray worried there wouldn't be enough to spare for more than a few wraiths to fester, and her radar indicated the presence of a local girl within a mile. She and Clown Muffle prowled the icy sidewalks looking like carjacking hood rats, which they would have looked like even in San Bernardino, but the oversized hoodie that swaddled Clown Muffle's porous body and the aggressively rumpled white suit clinging to Murray's kinda more whole one gave the distinct impression of a slick-talking con artist and her enforcer friend. White fucking city, and they looked like this, she expected any moment policemen to roll up and ask what you girls up to. And policemen were everywhere, mostly picking up drunks, so Murray's head twitched over each shoulder at the shrill sudden auditory uptick of every siren that passed, close or distant. The worst part of being a magical girl was that none of the usual remedies for anxiety worked anymore. Sure, she and Steph had turned Steph's room into a hotbox on more than one occasion, rolling around her endless array of massive plush dolls and chattering about Che Guevara or whatever real-world analogs they could connect to their situation, but it had always been a social thing, an excuse to get the air foggy and a placebo effect flowing. The drugs didn't actually work. Thanks magical regeneration, but sometimes she wanted to stuff her body full of poison. Dull her mental faculties. Not have to worry so damn much. She craved something, even if only tobacco, anything to wear down an edge. These damn cops. Cuba's cops, Obama's cops, all the same cops. Clown Muffle didn't give a shit, as one might expect. She didn't even turn her head to look down alleys for wraiths. Her eyes just flitted. Minimal movements. Hands in the center pouch pocket of her hoodie. But the motions she did make operated in subtle ways to convey grace rather than mechanism. Everything down to the way she took a step forward seemed practiced. It would be smart to observe her.
So?
You asked, said Clown Muffle, why I killed instead of stole. No?
Do you actually have an excuse?
Clown Muffle veered down an alley she had barely seemed to consider and which looked totally unpromising in Murray's eyes. Dumpsters and garbage bags and cardboard hovels homeless people probably lived in. No visible indicators of miasma. Wasting time. The local girl might show herself any time, and what then? A confrontation? Someone who lived in such a frostbitten wasteland with such scant supply must be fiercely territorial, all part of that uncooperative, misanthropic mentality Cube instilled in them to keep them from getting stronger. I asked you something once. You never answered. Why the little bend?
What?
Why? The little bend. Sometimes she made it all too easy to want to throttle her. Murray restrained herself this time. The rigid lines the Empire imposed cooled her fervor. She could look back on how haphazardly she flung herself at Clown Muffle with a wince and a grimace. If not her person, one must respect her prowess. These words all sounded nice.
I've got no fucking clue what you're saying. Is it code or what?
Clown Muffle's head swayed as she sidewinded between the rows of garbage deeper toward the alley. Until they reached the other side, emerged on the next street, met the same revelers and policemen, and proceeded along another sidewalk. Your hat, said Clown Muffle. Which hat? It's bent. Murray clapped cold hands to cheeks and groaned, bending back like a dying marathon runner as she clomped at Clown Muffle's heels.
Fashion? Fashion's still your fixation? Fuck. Fuck.
The way we look is a manifestation of our soul. You said it was superficial, I say anything but. Every detail is carefully arranged, and if the appearance is superficial, that's only a mark against the person. The outer reflects the inner. This is why the deviations are so important. I've seen so many witches, but only you had the bend in her hat.
It's just, what witches have in their hats?
Said Murray.
Go look up your average, dime a dozen Halloween witch and see if her hat has a bend or not. It's just the classic thing.
Incorrect. Some may have a crooked tip, but yours bends back downward, so the tip points at the top of your head. That's unique. It means something.
It means nothing, I didn't even get a chance to think about it. It's literally nothing.
You have plenty of passion, Murietta Temecula. Clown Muffle led them into another alley. They navigated a maze of gentrified downtown city streets, every lamppost adorned with the image of a yellow-green football man. Into an alley, out. I like your passion. There's an incalculable quality inside you. I just want. Her hands extended from the sleeves of her hoodie to hook upward like she gripped something invisible, you to harness it. To apply yourself.
I do that. I've chased you halfway across this damn country.
In that diner you told me all your ideas, you could say so much about them, but I still have such a poor idea of you. Who are you? What do you enjoy? What fills you with happiness? You'll never be a strong magical girl unless you harness the qualities within yourself. Quasi-spiritual bullshit. Another Hammett quote, religion is the opium of the masses. Clown Muffle had doped herself long ago, if not with a traditional god, then a materialistic one. Clothes, 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 it was always clothes with her, the very essence of materialism, its very symbol, the utilitarian turned decadent, and note how now in her decay she wore whatever ugly jacket would keep her soft and warm. You said Hammett, she was personal. Clown Muffle opened a shit-smelling dumpster and peered inside. I liked that. You loved her, didn't you? Murray went rigid.
She was, we were friends.
Yes. That's love. All right, the platonic kind. Fine. Murray cast a glance behind her at the entrance to the alley and the pedestrians flitting past. If a policeman shined his light on them, what excuse could they possibly give? So what made you friends? What sparked that connection? Or did she come spouting revolution and that was the only thing that tied you? I don't think either of you were that hollow. Something must have made you laugh. The dumpster lid slammed down and Murray swirled 2,000 miles west and 1,000 south to an comically old-fashioned vinyl warbling and airy, atmospheric indie rock band, them both in socks because it was an Asian household and Murray's socks with holes on the heels, so she tucked her feet under her body while Hammett tapped a phone on her bed above.
That sociopath, Hammett said, doesn't even try to train the rookies. I refuse to communicate with her anyway except telepathically, it's literally more physical exertion than it's worth otherwise. God, she's a bitch, said Murray. Tell me about it.
Hammett rolled over and slid an arm to indicate the record player.
Like this. Arcade Fire. Quebecois Band.
Murray hadn't even liked the music. But the place, the time, the aura, the feeling in that room so stuffed with stuffed animals and doily pink stuff, the security, and after for 3 pants-shitting nights she had tottered behind Clown Muffle just like she did now as Clown Muffle trained her, i.e. charged into the biggest gaggle of pixel-faced abominations possible while shouting, "You take the ones on the left!" On the third night, encircled by grinning monsters, weird ones that shape-shifted to look like her friends at school, coming to kill her like a nightmare she once had, and Clown Muffle nowhere to be seen, a thunderous clap rang out and an Iron Maiden slammed down and Hammett showed up bitching at Clown Muffle. I said, let me handle the rookies from now on. Then a half-turn and a hand extended and a smile and a,
hey now, don't worry. We'll do this right.
Clown Muffle came to a rusted door on the side of a boarded-up building. The door didn't look functional, it looked like something painted onto the brick. A homeless man slept beside it. Clown Muffle held a hand for quiet, held her ear to the door, and listened. Murray checked behind for cops. "Wraiths in here," said Clown Muffle.
"How can you tell?"
No answer. Clown Muffle twisted the doorknob and somehow the door opened, without even much exertion, which was probably good given her deterioration. Or was it bad she didn't fall apart? Murray would need Clown Muffle as weak as possible to beat her. The open doorway was a black hole. Clown Muffle stepped inside and vanished. Murray hesitated. Hemmett's advice resounded in her inner ear: if you enter a building, be sure you know the exits. Looking inside, it didn't even seem like their entrance was an exit, and if she hadn't seen Clown Muffle go in, she would have sworn the black portal was as painted on as the door itself. The local magical girl had moved even closer. If she was perceptive of miasma, maybe she was en route to them. Her current movements were unclear. Bad. This dark vortex unnerved Murray. Her nerves were already shot to hell after what she saw in the morning. Why did she agree to this? She wanted no wraiths tonight. She wanted to sit in a restaurant and talk politics while she ate a cheddar burger on her archenemy's dime. A wretched, nauseating fear suddenly shredded into her, and it was amazing to feel this emotion, this fear, coming off of what, a dark doorway? In a shitty town like this there would be no monstrous wraiths, no horrifying enemy, only the same tepid shamblers. Even she could destroy Eyeless, and on the same day she flew into the maw of a prehistoric demigod from the deep, after everything she had already done and all the places she had already followed Clown Muffle. This dark door, in this unassuming building, in this pointless village, it had to be, her nerves were shot, it had to be, and she had been so relaxed. She had recovered so well from what she saw. But this dark doorway, this dark doorway. She leaned against the jamb. She was afraid of herself as much as whatever was inside, a contorted horrible pain in a column from the base of her spine into her head, a terror that made her incapable of even functioning, and where did it come from? She was not, she refused to be, a coward, and she had hurled herself into great danger to fight for what she believed. She had a premonition that if this kept up she might die. Law of the cycles. That was it, energy. Simple energy. She had expended a lot in the morning battle, she had flown the entire day as she tracked Clown Muffle northward, her reserves must be depleted, and it was having a negative effect on her brain. Wait, she said to Clown Muffle. She only needed a moment to collect herself and regain control. She only needed to rein herself in with rationality. This was the least fearsome thing she had faced in a long time. She transformed. Her armor was still golden and unfitting, and it had a little luminescence to shine through the door. It became marginally less dark, and faint outlines of objects appeared. In her hand she held her wand. Expelliarmus, she thought to herself. Or, better yet, for this situation, Lumos. Of course, when Clown Muffle asked about the witch outfit, Murray could never tell her the true reason. It would be too embarrassing if she revealed the first thing she thought when she heard the term magical girl was Hermione Granger, and her notion of the hat came from the beaten old one that sorted everyone into their houses. That was a kid's story for a kid, but when she thought Lumos, the tip of her wand lit up like it did in those stories. She entered. Her wand's light cast a pale blue glaze on the interior. Even with the light she couldn't tell the room's size or purpose, and the objects inside seemed random and randomly arranged. There appeared to be no floor, even though she ostensibly stood on one. She made out an antique-looking table with weirdly curved legs, an overturned chair, a doll face down on the ground. a glimmer against an oval mirror. She bumped against a chair and turned spooked and became even more spooked when somebody was sitting in the chair, a massive woman, wedged between the arms, rolling waves of fat, whose head lolled apathetically as she jammed a needle into her upper wrist. The doll on the ground rolled over. It wasn't a doll, it was a baby. Murray pressed her hand to her lips and staggered against the antique table. She knelt down and scooped up the baby, cradling it in her arms. It didn't look hurt or anything, but in the dim light of her wand it was hard to tell. Its shiny coal-black eyes moved in time to the sway of her light. It neither giggled nor cried, it only stared.
"Baby," she said. "Baby."
"He," said the fat woman.
"Put hair down. This is not, a safe place."
"Miasma," said Clown Muffle from somewhere. "The humans are insensible. I perceive 15 wraiths. You take the ones on the left." 15. In this room? The fat woman dangled her arms out. The baby, Murray couldn't comprehend this wriggle of flesh. 15 wraiths in this room, she needed to get the baby out. When she turned toward the door, someone already stood in it. A completely black silhouette with a body vaguely feminine. Murray at first thought it one of the wraiths. It wasn't, it spoke.
"Oh my fucking hell, you just have to come in and take a dump all over everything. I worked hard on this and it's still too early, you're ruining the whole setup."
It was the local magical girl. If Murray had been paying attention, she would have recognized her approach. The girl held some kind of gun weapon aimed at Murray's face.
You worked hard? Worked hard on? I manufactured a little misery, work? Only fucking barbarians are hunter-gatherers, didn't you learn your evolutionary history?
Hunter-gatherers versus agrarian society. The realization dawned. Murray reeled back.
"You're a..."
The gun sparked and fired. Murray's left eardrum burst and hot liquid spurted down the side of her face as she clutched the baby close to her chest, shielding it. But the magical girl had not fired on her. As Murray turned, she saw in the dwindling flare the disintegrating form of a wraith by her shoulder.
"Ratty ass bitches. If you kept the place sealed another hour there'd be at least 20, maybe even 30 in here."
Crrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr Murray stepped toward her.
You, the baby. The baby's the linchpin. Look, maybe when you skanks get your own place to live one day you'll have learned something and, oh what the fuck.
Murray had moved close enough for her wand to illuminate the girl, and the girl's eyes were wide and horrified, which contrasted completely her words. Except after a second Murray realized that what scared the girl wasn't the wraiths, but Murray herself. The girl stumbled back out the door, pointing and sputtering, You're from fucking Chicago, oh fuck oh fuck oh fuck. The girl turned and plunged into the jamb of the door, ricocheted off, regained her footing, and sprinted down the alley. Murray glanced down, it was her golden breastplate and helmet. When the girl saw the uniform. Done. Clown Muffle manifested from the darkness piecemeal, with some pieces never seeming to manifest at all, leaving her a fragment of a form. She held in one hand a knife, the steak knife from the restaurant, which she tucked down the neck of her sweater. Only once she stopped directly beside Murray did Murray realize that not all parts of Clown Muffle had manifested, because not all parts of Clown Muffle were still part of Clown Muffle. She was missing an arm. The full sleeve of her baggy hoodie remained, but it flopped limp at her side and the sleeve began to stain with blood near the shoulder. She stooped and with her remaining hand scooped up the grief cubes from the wraith the Green Bay girl killed. Decent cubes. We split the haul, we survive another day. Gatineau draws ever closer.
Gatineau.
The name on the paper. That's where my salvation lies. Gatineau, and my soul is healed. These sentences were extremely difficult for Murray to parse. What they seemed to mean wasn't what Murray eventually realized they meant. Her soul, Clown Muffle meant her gem. She had found someone to fix her soul gem. Gatineau. That didn't seem like a place. This bundle didn't seem like a baby. But Murray said anyway, this baby? Babies are best left to their mothers, said Clown Muffle, walking out the door. Although the miasma dissipated, the room remained dark, and the woman remained hallucinatory. The baby, however, began to giggle. It clutched at Murray's throat with its baby hands. A culturally, morally, ethically sick race. Green Bay and San Bernardino, 2,000 miles couldn't alter the zeitgeist. And Gatineau. After how bad Clown Muffle had deteriorated, Murray knew it could only be that hope that sustained her. The hope that she could heal her soul. But she wouldn't heal shit. She would be the same old Clown Muffle, nothing would change, and healthy she would return to the same decrepit human she had been before. Babies are best left with their mothers. Murray held the baby close and stroked its head. She wasn't sure what you were supposed to do with babies. This one had soiled itself, but it didn't seem too upset about it, which was not Murray's general experience with babies, who were upset about everything.
Oh yeah,
said the baby. Maybe Clown Muffle's soul could be healed. Maybe, in this state, she could be shown reason. Would that absolve her? Murray didn't know. She would have to see how she felt, and for the past week she felt haunted by Steph's ghost. She didn't want to waffle on this point. She wanted to make up her mind and decide, like she always did first thing, and it must be those shot nerves making her flinch here. So she stared at this baby and before Clown Muffle had even turned down the alley on the other side of the door she decided. She would wait until just before Clown Muffle arrived at Gatineau. Wherever it was. This made sense for both sides of the coin. It gave Murray more time to talk to her, probe her, attempt an ideological shift, and it also gave more time for Clown Muffle's soul and body to deteriorate. Clown Muffle could still kick Murray's ass, so she would need every advantage possible if, in the end, she needed to fight. Good plan. Reasonable, rational. Sensible. It made lots of sense. Now about this baby. End of chapter. Chapter end.